doing really well. I am here with a book buying confession episode, and I have a bunch of books to show you. So I think if my calculations are correct, I'm up to 12 books now. So a couple events happened, and I went to a used bookstore, and I actually don't go to used bookstores that often because now with my very intentional book buying, it's something that I don't think I'll happen upon in a store. But when I was at the beach a couple weeks ago for the family wedding that I talked about in my update, I passed by this used bookstore, and it was in a section of the beach near Myrtle Beach that my family usually isn't at. It's about a half hour away. And so I thought, oh, I want to visit this bookstore. I don't think I'll get a chance the next time, you know, I'm in town because we won't be in this section again. And I found some real gems. So I'm very excited. Now, one of them, I'm not counting, excuse me, I'm not counting towards my total number, simply because if you watched my last book buying episode, confession, I talked about buying Henry Reed Inc., which is the first in this series from the 1950s, and I'm very excited to try this. Peter actually, sorry about that, Peter actually has read this, and he told me after the fact, he said, there's like 20 pages missing. So when I was in this used bookstore and I saw this, which is the newer 90s edition of it, I picked this up. I don't like this cover nearly as much just because I love the vintage covers, but I wanted a copy without missing pages. So I'm just going to keep both of them. Kind of ridiculous, but I just love this cover because then I found book 3 when I was in the bookstore. So this is Henry Reed's Babysitting Service. He starts a business with his friend Midge Glass. So it's like the Babysitter's Club, the original Babysitter's Club. And this is the third in the series. So then I had to online order Henry Reed's Journey. So I just think these look so fun together. And I am planning on owning the entire series eventually. Or I guess this is the second book, so they should be in this order. Very excited to read this. I have started Henry Reed Inc., and I'm really enjoying it so far. So very much looking forward to going through these books, and Peter's excited to read Henry Reed's Journey. Henry Reed's Journey, he goes on a road trip across the United States, and I know the Grand Canyon is involved. The California Gold Rush, maybe they visit a ghost town. They're also in Denver, Colorado, at the Brown Palace Hotel, and I'm just delighted to be reading more. And as in the other ones, the illustrations are in here, and just some really fabulous illustrations in here. Let me see if I can find you one more. I just love this style. And then I'll show you in Henry Reed's Babysitting Service, which I did put just some tape on the spine of this because it is looking a little bit rough. Here's something where they're grilling and there's dogs around. So we'll see how that ends. So yes, I count, even though I did technically buy 3, I'm just counting it for 2 because I already owned one of the books. Okay, then book number 2 that I'm counting for 2 is The Lilies of the Field. This is over the years a book that commenters have told me that I would love. So it's about a group of nuns building a church in, oh, it doesn't say on here, but I'm very excited to read this. And it's supposed to be, is this a modern classic? I think it's a modern classic. 1963. So yeah, I would, or 1962. I would definitely count that as a modern classic. And maybe I'll watch the film afterwards. Then one that as soon as I saw it at the used bookstore, I thought, okay, I have to. I've been meaning to get a copy of this for years. And I wasn't sure about this cover at first, but it's really grown on me over the years. And this will be my 3rd time reading this book this year. And that is Christy by Catherine Marshall. I love and adore this book so deeply. And I usually get a library copy or also listen to the audiobook. And I thought this is one that needs to be in my library. It's an all-time favorite. And I think I'm just planning on for the rest of my life reading this every other year. I don't want it to wear out, so I won't read it yearly. But this is the September pick for the Kindred Spirits book club, and I'm just so excited to share this book with others. And then I'm not counting this for my number either. This is for Peter and the upcoming school year, and it is part of the I Survived, excuse me, the I Survived series. So it's I Survived the American Revolution 1776, and it has really cool pictures and illustrations throughout. Here is, it's a chart showing the different weapons, which I think Peter will find absolutely fascinating, and soldiers of the American Revolution. So a living book, as Charlotte Mason would call it. And Peter, while he was there, I did treat him also to I Survived Pearl Harbor, and he read that in a couple days. He really, really loved it. So that was really cool. Those are my purchases from the used bookstore. And then aside from Henry Reed's Journey, which I ordered online, I did want to show a couple Mother's Day books that I was gifted. I'm very excited about these. The first that I'm so delighted to have this copy because it is hard to, or it's more pricey to get a hold of, but that is The Lion in the Box by Marguerite de Angeli. And I fell head over heels for her book, The Door in the Wall. And I've heard wonderful things, specifically Gina from Babs Beloved Books on Bookstagram. Gina, if you are watching, here this is. I'm so excited to own a copy of this. It is a Christmas story, and the library did not have this, so I'm just so excited to read this. I think I'll read it aloud to the boys. It is not long at all. It is 67 pages, so that seems a very realistic read aloud. And I have no idea what it's about. I just know it's a Christmas story. It's Marguerite de Angeli. I also own by her, it's one called Jared's Island, and it's set in, I think, the 17th century in America, which is a time period I'm very excited about right now. So I think that might be a book I try to read this summer. Okay, then I was gifted last Mother's Day a proper charade by Esther Hatch. Esther Hatch is a proper romance author and is one that I've been meaning to try for a long time. It's about Lady Patience Kendrick, who is privileged, and then, but she's not proper. And her brother, who is a former military man, decides that she is just needs to get her act together. And so then Patience undertakes a drastic experiment. She will disguise herself as a maid and demonstrate her ability to work as hard as anyone. So then I think she's going to fall in love with the man of the house. So it seems a bit like a Cinderella story. I've heard wonderful things about this, but this was actually the second in the series. So then for this Mother's Day, I asked for the first in the series, which is a proper scandal. And Grace Sinclair has been taken in by the local vicar and his wife. And then her aunt from London has agreed to take care of her. And then she has to get married soon to get out of a bad situation. The aunt is married to a detestable rake, it says. So I'm very excited to try out Esther Hatch, and hopefully I will like her writing. Okay, so those ones don't count because those are gifts, those three. Okay. Then the final two that I am the most excited about, these are ones I ordered recently on Abe Books, which is just, it's a magical land, Abe Books. Most books I can find for about $5 with free shipping. Now, granted, that is living in the US. So I was very sad on behalf of my Australian and Canadian friends and friends from New Zealand when Book Depository closed, because shipping in other countries, it's really expensive. So my heart goes out to everyone who was affected by the Book Depository shutdown, which is a real shame. But anyhow, on to happy book news. And the first is a Jane Austen July pick, and that is Dorothy Wordsworth's The Grassmere Journal. And I love a good journal and diary. If you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know this. And I had heard good things about, I'm not sure if it was specifically the Grassmere Journal, but just Dorothy Wordsworth's journals in general, from Emma at Bookish Princess. And I really liked this edition. It has lovely paintings and drawings throughout. And I really think it will be a lovely, there is a kitten right outside the door. I think it will be a lovely visual feast. And I'm very excited to just savor this over the course of Jane Austen July. It is not very lengthy, and it seems like something that will just be delightful to sit with a cup of tea and just enjoy, soak it all in. Here's a beautiful painting of Keswick Lake. So very excited about the Grassmere Journals. Okay, and then that brings us to the 6th book, and this is one I will be saving for Victober. And that is Miss Miles, A Tale of Yorkshire Life 60 Years Ago by Mary Taylor. I heard about this book from Jenna at Chicky Bean Loves Books, and I will link her Victober vlog from last year when she made this book sound so enticing. Mary Taylor was a friend of Charlotte Bronte, and she published this book in 1890. She worked on it for decades. They had a friendship through letters for decades. They met at school, and they continued to stay in touch for the rest of Charlotte's life. Mary Taylor herself was a very interesting woman, but this is, I'm getting Charlotte Mary Young kind of vibes. It sounds very much a novel in the domestic sphere, but with mainly independent women living in the Victorian era. And it seems like it's going to have some passages in it that really savor the beauty in nature. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to reading this. I have heard from Jenna, though, that the dialogue can be a little bit daunting in Miss Miles, so I'm planning on reading this over the course of the entire month. I will take my time with it. So that's a little bit of a spoiler for my Victober TBR. Those are the books that I have bought recently. Let me know if you have read any of them, and let me know if there's a book that you bought recently that you were just so excited to have in your library. And thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye!